Tyreek's big game today. Just a question of you guys taking advantage of a matchup that you like there, or is there more to it than that? And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up as well.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily a matchup, but it was man coverage with no one over the top. And so we don't get that a lot, especially with that guy and his ability. And whenever we do, we try to take advantage of it.
Okay, and you've thrown a lot of touchdown passes. Obviously, you've scored a few yourself. You almost caught one today. How disappointed are you? You didn't get your first TD catch. And what was the name of that play, by the way?
God, man. Well, me and Travis made it up first off, and we called it Black Pearl because we're bringing it to the Bucs and the Pirates of the Caribbean and everything like that. And I talked him into it. Coach Reed for sure told him if he can run it first.
When you look at obviously the pre-snap and what, like you mentioned, just getting that single high safety, just how much does it still surprise you when you know 10's out there? And my second part of this is how much, Tyreek mentioned Sammy today as being a part of his success. Just how much was that a part of the offense really clicking in the first half, having Sammy back?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Sammy being able to work the middle of the field, even when he's not getting the ball, he's getting other guys open. And then as well as at the beginning of that game, they were, instead of that safety going over the top of Tyreek, they were going over the top of Travis. And, I mean, that's just the problem that defenses have when they go against us. We have so many good weapons. It's hard to try to take away one guy when we can go to the other guys. And so this week it was Tyreek's week, but I'm sure other guys will make big plays the rest of the season.
Let's go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick, I know you want to throw it every down, right? But at the end there, those last two plays, a lot of teams would have just run the ball, right, to melt some clock. What is your mind like in those situations, just sort of risk-reward balance when you know you got to keep the clock going?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a lot of trust Coach puts in me to make the right decision. You can see that I'm trying to get the ball in my hands quickly, get it to the guys, let them make plays in space. And another thing, I mean, they have a really good defense, especially against the run, and so they're getting a lot of penetration up front. And I'm trying to get to our playmakers in space and let guys make plays.
Next is Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick, you touched on this a little bit, but how much do you feel like Travis's success this season, but also Tyreek's success on the underneath stuff, kind of opened up what you saw today up top?
Yeah, I think it's just taking what's there. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, you've seen how teams played us these last few weeks, and they're playing very far back. And we were able to find ways to move the ball down the field and score that way. And then this, yeah, well, I mean, that just comes down to execution. I mean, we had the play with Travis designed and ran the way we wanted it to be ran, and we had the options and the availability that we wanted. And we've ran plays like that all year long. We're doing different motions and different type of stuff like that, and they've worked out. And when you play a good defense and you don't execute in the red zone and you get field goals instead of touchdowns, the game stays closer than you want it to be. And so that's just about execution and us just making sure that we execute whenever we get our opportunities.
And also, this is your first time playing in Tampa Bay. Did you feel like you got used to it enough that you could come back and do the same thing again in February?
Man, I hope so. I mean, it was hot. It was definitely hot early when the sun was out. But once that sun went down, I felt like I was back in Texas, and it was pretty nice to get this weather. But just like that, I'm ready to get back to Kansas City and get a cold one this next week.
We'll go to Mike Jones for the last one. Go ahead, Mike.
Patrick, this is supposed to be kind of like billed as a Super Bowl preview. For you guys to come out and get the win like this, what does it do for your confidence, or just for if you guys see them again in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, you get a familiarity with the stadium, with the process of going to the hotel in the city, and that's definitely something that eases your mind when you try to get to the Super Bowl. If you know you've been in this place before and you understand what kind of the pregame and stuff like that happens, and then to be the good football team. That's a really good football team with a lot of talented players, and so we played well enough to win. I still think there was times offensively we could have been better in the second half and in the red zone we talked about, and then defensively they're going to want to try to continue to get better and better each and every week. And that's a great thing about football and the NFL is you build and try to execute and be the best at the end of the season.
Patrick, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Really, historian Daniel has an ankle sprain, and we'll just see how he does by tomorrow. All in all, I thought it was a good game. That's a good football team, and that Bruce has got, and they ton of talent, and they've got Tom Brady. So, I mean, it says it all when you look at that. But I was proud of our guys for stepping up, in particular after an emotional game like the Raider game. You got to be able to do these things, and I thought that was a step forward by our guys. I mean, I can go through and critique it, but But there's some things we can get better at, but it was a heck of a performance, I thought, by our guys. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy, I wanted to ask you about a couple situational decisions that you had. The 4th and goal early in the game in the first quarter, and then throwing it late when you could have just burned clock. I mean, at least superficially, right? Like one of those is aggressive, one is conservative. I'm just wondering if you could let us in on your thinking a little bit. How much of that is, Mike Frazier and those numbers, and how much is just gut and what you're seeing from the game?
Yeah, so that one I just felt like I wanted points coming out of that, and I know they're tough in the red zone, and I just points were important there, especially early, and then the last one was I've learned a long time ago you don't give Tom Brady another shot, so that's why he's the GOAT, right? So don't give him the ball back, and that was the mindset there, and so we got Pat on the move, and we sealed the edge, did a nice job there, and then man coverage with Tyreek and Sam, and they beat it up there, so they did a nice job.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Andy, I'm just wondering, from the end of last year, right, when you do the player exit interviews, what was that conversation like with Tyreek on where you thought he could get better, and how much of that was on display today given his historic performance?
Well, yeah, you just said it. So, I mean, it's hard to criticize history when it's positive. And he sure did a nice job today, and, to where they doubled him. They doubled both he and Kels at times, both of them being doubled in the same play. So, listen, it's a tribute to him and the hard work that he's put in, and